in San Francisco, parents taking back power. Voters recalling 3 school board members accused of pushing progressive politics and programs and advocating for school name changes. This as schools actually remained closed during the pandemic. It comes as San Francisco Mayor London Breed is saying the voters are delivering a clear message and schools should focus on delivering a well-run system. Joining us now is a volunteer with the San Francisco School Board recall, Leslie Huang. Also with us, San Francisco parent Rob Kutner. Great to see you both. Thanks so much for taking the time. You know, this is what's being reported as a victory for parents in San Francisco, Leslie, those who have been fed up with how the school board is running these programs. How are you feeling this morning?
It's a new day in San Francisco. We're thrilled, and we think the success of the school board election shows that people can and will hold government officials accountable, that government works for the people, not the other way around.
Sure. Rob, really, what was the tipping point, do you think, that inspired people to come out and vote?
Yeah, I think the big thing was renaming schools while everybody was locked down. It was just ridiculous. You know, it illustrated these folks are focused on everything except, you know, these kids learning. I mean, it's been a long time coming in San Francisco. This district spends something like $22,000 per kid per year. And, you know, we're at the bottom 7% in the state in reading proficiency. So, you know, there's been a long simmering dissatisfaction with how this district is run. It's probably the worst run public agency in the country, maybe next to the CDC and the FDA. But renaming schools while the kids are locked out, I think that just lit everybody up.
Sure. Some of the school names that I'm reading that they took issue with, Jefferson, Lincoln, Paul Revere. Leslie, What does this say about where the school board's priorities were? And where do you think the focus needs to be?
That's a good question. The focus needs to be on being accountable, doing their job, not virtue signaling. And that's what's going to happen. The mayor's going to appoint replacements for an interim period until the November elections for replacements.
There we go. And I think this probably goes without saying, but it is worth pointing out, Rob, San Francisco is a pretty liberal part of the country here. So the fact that parents are saying, hold on, these policies are even too progressive for us, really does say something. Yeah,
no, that's the understatement of the year, that's for sure. It's definitely a very leftist and liberal city, and the fact that they're renaming, they want to rename Abraham Lincoln School. The guy freed the slaves, and they want to rename the school to something else. So yeah, I think it's like I was saying, it's the straw that broke the camel's back, and it's finally, you know, all this talk that they've had about racial equity. I mean, it's obviously a lie, because the black and brown kids are the ones that suffer most from being away from school. You know, I think the stat I heard was that black kids had a math proficiency drop of 20% during the lockdowns. Latino kids had 12%. They changed the merit-based system of the one merit-based public high school in the city, Lowell, to be a lottery like all the other schools. So they're denying all these kids the one ticket out of the situations that they're in by just lumping them in with a bunch of other horrible education systems. Sure. So the deeds don't match the words.
Yeah, well, we've heard about students falling behind in their education and their curriculum just because they've had to be remote or either in-person or out-of-person learning, depending. But Leslie, we've also heard about the mental health aspect. This sort of back and forth learning has caused students here. When you're looking for that replacement in the November elections, what sort of candidate is ideal for you that you think would best represent these students?
So I think San Francisco has swung way far. The pendulum has swung way far to the left. It's moving to the center. We're seeing that across the board. And so this is going to be candidates that are focusing on not politics, but on fundamentals of reading, writing, arithmetic. The other ripple effect of this election is that in June, we have a recall of our district attorney, Chesa Bodine. This is going to be another very controversial race. And with the success of the school board recall election, it's going to motivate a lot more turnout in that June election. And that's going to be key.
There we go. These elections are so important, the local ones, as we've learned throughout the course of this pandemic. Great conversation. Thank you both for joining us today, Leslie and Rob. We do appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.